Today, I will show you 14 scenes of beetles battling and defeating prey 100 times larger than themselves. Number 1. A pompous beetle attacks a frog. Frogs can eat almost anything in their sight. They find prey in the wild, including insects, slugs, worms, snails, and even beetles. These creatures are smaller than the frog and seem like an easy meal. However, sometimes beetles can turn the tables. Two Apomus beetles spot a frog and immediately give chase. Apomus beetles are ground beetles, known for hunting amphibians. The frog becomes alert and leaps away several times and lodges onto the frog, but one beetle manages to bite and cling onto the frog, damaging its muscles and nerves. As the others join in, the frog fights back, but the beetles overpower it and eat it alive from the inside out. In this battle, the beetle's reflexes are lightning fast. It retreated, then instantly delivered a fatal bite to the neck. Thus, the hunter becomes the prey. Number 2. Diving beetle attacks fish. With hundreds of beetle species conquering the globe, some of these creatures, like diving beetles, have evolved into skilled predators with unique abilities that help them make unexpected kills. Diving beetles have feathered legs. To help them adapt to a marine lifestyle, they trap air under their wings to facilitate breathing underwater as they go foraging for food. When a diving beetle spots a tiny fish swimming by, diving beetles are adept predators, utilizing feathered legs and air-trapping wings to thrive underwater. They ambush small fish, using sharp mandibles to swiftly reduce prey to bones within minutes. No 3T ground beetles are formidable predators. They possess powerful mandibles. These mandibles enable them to tackle various prey. One such beetle encounters a snail. The snail is ill-equipped for defense. The beetle seizes the snail. It extracts the snail from its protective shell. The beetle begins to feast on the soft flesh. This turns the snail into a delectable meal. Snails rely on their shells as a defense mechanism. Once breached, they become easy prey. The beetle's sharp mandibles methodically tear the snail's flesh. It rips the flesh into tiny pieces for easier consumption. In another instance, the beetle inserts itself into the shell's narrow opening. It consumes the snail from within. This behavior highlights the beetle's adaptability. It also showcases the snail's vulnerability once its primary defense is compromised. Number 4. Beetles are not only skilled predators, but also scavengers. They feed on leftover carcasses of dead animals. This requires less effort and provides a secure meal. The prey doesn't attack or flee. When a dead raccoon skull is presented to flesh-eating beetles, the insects quickly swarm over it. They cover the entire skull. They devour it inside and out. They consume the tongue as well. Within a few hours, they strip it to the bone. No flesh remains on the skull. Number 5. Burying beetles are not only predators, but also utilize carcasses for reproduction. A shrew that dies naturally is soon discovered by these beetles. Instead of immediately consuming the corpse, the beetles have other plans. They position themselves beneath the shrew, lying on their backs to push the body forward. This maneuver allows them to transport the shrew back to their nest. Once there, they meticulously remove the shrew's fur. The female beetle then lays eggs inside the carcass. The decaying body becomes nourishment for the emerging larvae. Number 6. Scorpions are formidable adversaries, known for their agility and lethal stingers. However, certain beetles have evolved strategies to counter these threats. In a confined space, a warrior beetle confronts a scorpion. The beetle swiftly initiates the attack, targeting the scorpion's tail rather than its head. This tactic suggests the beetle understands the scorpion's strengths and vulnerabilities. Despite the scorpion's efforts to free its tail, it remains trapped. Using its strong mandibles, the beetle grips and immobilizes the scorpion's stinger. Direct confrontation could be perilous for the beetle. Eventually, the beetle severs the tail, rendering the scorpion defenseless. This scenario demonstrates that, under certain conditions, beetles can overpower scorpions. In another encounter, both adversaries engage aggressively, each aiming to dominate. The beetle alternates its attacks between the scorpion's head and tail, disrupting its defense. By shielding its vulnerable underside and presenting its hardened exterior, the beetle minimizes harm. Unable to penetrate the beetle's defenses, the scorpion ultimately succumbs to the relentless assault. Number 7. Slugs, being shellless mollusks, have limited defenses. They often avoid areas frequented by predators. When threatened, slugs secrete a slimy mucus as a secondary defense. In this scenario, a beetle is feeding on a slug. The beetle's mandibles and forearms work in coordination to dismember the sticky prey. The slug has minimal means to defend itself against such a strategic predator. Similarly, the beetle uses its mandibles like scissors to cut the slug into manageable pieces before consumption. Number 8. Beetles are commonly preyed upon by birds, alongside other insects, worms, and fish. Birds typically swoop in and capture these creatures without resistance. However, when a bird dies and falls to the ground, beetles seize the opportunity. Upon discovering a dead bird, a beetle may claim the carcass exclusively. To safeguard its meal from other predators, the beetle excavates a hole beneath the bird. It then buries the entire bird, ensuring a secure food source. This behavior allows the beetle to feed at its convenience without the threat of losing its meal. Number 9. A snake carcass can sustain an entire beetle colony for several days. These insects meticulously clean the carrion, leaving behind a spotless skeleton. In one instance, a desiccated boa constrictor was introduced into a domestic beetle colony. Within minutes, the beetles began stripping every bit of flesh from the snake's body. They left nothing but a pristine skeleton behind. Sometimes these beetles opt to bury the carcass for later consumption. This behavior ensures a continuous food supply without immediate consumption. Number 10. Moles, primarily insectivores, often fall prey to beetles after death. Upon discovering a deceased mole, flesh-eating beetles rapidly commence consumption. These beetles work tirelessly, reducing the mole to fur and bones within hours. Their relentless feeding ensures no flesh remains on the carcass. Such beetle activity highlights nature's efficient decomposition process. Observing these beetles at work offers insight into the cycle of life and death. Their role is crucial in recycling nutrients back into the ecosystem. This natural process maintains ecological balance by breaking down organic matter. Through their actions, beetles contribute significantly to soil health. Understanding this process underscores the importance of beetles in nature. No. 11. Ground beetles predominantly inhabit the soil surface, constantly exploring their surroundings. Worms, abundant in these habitats, serve as convenient prey for these beetles. Capturing worms requires minimal effort from the beetles, who then dismember them before consumption. In one instance, a ground beetle ambushes a corn earworm, swiftly pinning it down. The worm's attempts to escape are futile against the beetle's firm grasp. The beetle climbs onto the carcass to secure a better hold. In another scenario, a ground beetle feeds on a deceased worm. The beetle employs its mandibles to pierce the worm, extracting its internal contents and thoroughly ravaging its prey, using its mandibles to tear the flesh into manageable pieces before feeding. No. 12. Caterpillars are vulnerable creatures that employ various defenses to protect themselves from potential threats. Their primary defense is camouflage, complemented by hair-like spines, aggressive behaviors, and chemical deterrents. However, Certain beetles have evolved strategies to overcome these defenses and can subdue caterpillars without sustaining injuries. For instance, a ground beetle larva attacks a caterpillar, incapacitating it with a few swift strikes. Instead of consuming the prey immediately, the beetle leaves the wounded caterpillar in considerable pain. Like other beetles, it attempts to break down its prey into manageable pieces for immediate consumption. However, this beetle encounters some difficulties during the process. Number 13. Although a fully grown, agile squirrel typically remains beyond the reach of ground-dwelling insects like beetles, a deceased squirrel serves as an ideal meal for these tiny insects. Flesh-eating beetles are adept at decomposing carcasses into mere remnants. In this footage, beetles swarm the squirrel, consuming its flesh entirely, leaving behind only the desiccated bones of an unrecognizable animal. Mumpa. Tackling a live adult rodent is a formidable challenge for beetles. However, they actively seek out those that are injured, ill, or deceased. Upon finding such prey, beetles consume the corpse entirely, leaving nothing behind. In this instance, dung beetles deviate from their usual diet of dung and feast on a whole mouse. The insects tear open the mouse, devouring its flesh, organs, and muscles down to the veins. The remnants are gathered and shaped into a ball, which is then buried in the soil for future consumption. Beetles are among the most diverse groups of insects, with over 380,000 described species. They exhibit high adaptability to various habitats, ranging from dense forests to deserts. Their bodies are protected by a hard wing case called the elytra, which shields them from environmental factors and predators. In terms of feeding behavior, beetles display a wide range of dietary habits. Carnivorous species. Some beetles prey on small insects such as flies, ants, and caterpillars. Herbivorous species. Many others feed on leaves, flowers, fruits, stems, and roots, sometimes causing harm to agriculture. Saprophagus species. Certain beetles specialize in consuming fungal spores, pollen, or food sourced from ants. This flexible adaptability in habitat and diet has enabled beetles to thrive and proliferate across the globe.
Thank you for watching. If you love the animal world and mysterious discoveries, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to never miss out on exciting content. Keep exploring with more fascinating videos and help Wild Storytelling channel reach 100,000 subscribers. Turn on the notification bell to stay updated. Thank you so much.